Halloween H2O 20 Years Later was released in 1998 and was directed by Steve Miner. It stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Josh Hartnett, Michelle Williams, and LL Cool J, and follows Laurie Strode, who is now the dean of a Californian private school and going under a new name, who now must do battle with the Shape one last time as the life of her own son hangs in the balance. Happy Halloween, everybody. I hope you're having a great spooky season, and I guess welcome back for me, as I've been on a bit of a hiatus for a while, and there's a lot of things going into that, such as just not really having the time to devote as much time as I would like to this channel because of work and school, and just being a little bit burnt out. I had plans of doing a whole month of spooky reviews, and that just didn't happen. But I knew I had to at least do my obligatory Halloween review at the end of the month. So here we are to talk about Halloween H2O. So I am excited to talk about this film, and I've been eagerly anticipating talking about it here on the channel because this is a movie that a lot of people really like. A lot of people put this up there as their second favorite Halloween film for so many. And then there's some people that say it's even better than what they eventually did with the 2019-2018 Halloween film. And I don't necessarily agree with that because I'm not the biggest fan of this film. But I will say I do like it. And this time around, I rewatched it, and there were criticisms that I had previously that I really didn't have as much this time around. I don't know, maybe the past few viewings just haven't been my cup of tea, but I quite enjoyed my revisit of Halloween H2O. I don't think it's a perfect sequel. I do think it is flawed in a lot of ways, but it does have moments that really do shine. And one of those moments in particular is the opening of the film. I love how this movie opens. You have that just fantastic score that John Ottman is the composer for this particular film, and he would go on to do a lot of collaborations with the director of X-Men, Bryan Singer, and he worked on like all the X-Men films as well as Superman Returns and Bohemian Rhapsody, and he's just a really good composer, and I think he brings some new energy to the franchise here. I think the score here is really good, even though for the most part it is the typical music that we have seen before, just, to differing levels. And it's really good. I also think it nails the atmosphere in the beginning of this film. The filmmaking in particular, it feels like a continuation of the filmmaking style of the last several Halloween films. And that just picturesque Halloween suburban area, literally opening up with a pumpkin carving. I really enjoy that. I like the suspense that we get with the nurse from the first two films, as somebody has clearly broken into her house to find out that it is, of course, Michael Myers attacking her, trying to find out where Laurie Strode is. And then there's also a really good opening credit sequence where we get somebody doing the voice of Dr. Loomis, and it's very clearly not Donald Pleasance, but it does make you feel like you're watching like the next installment of Halloween, the true sequel of sorts, even though I do like my Halloween 4 part of the Thorn trilogy, and I think that is a really good sequel in my opinion. but still, I like how that is done here. I also think Jamie Lee Curtis is fantastic in this. I think she's also fantastic in Halloween, the later film, and that's really good, but she is really good here. We deal a lot with her PTSD from that traumatic event that has really shaped it, and she's trying to be very proactive about it, trying to move on, trying to have a life away from all of that. And it's really interesting watching this film in conjunction with that later film, because you kind of see the two kind of extremes that you can take this character. And I will say I might actually prefer how this film does that. And Jamie Lee Curtis is just really great. She's vulnerable. I think her scenes with Josh Hartnett are fantastic, and she is very much so the best part of the film. And I also like some of the side characters a lot. LL Cool J is a standout, and I like Laurie Strode's boyfriend in the film. And then also there's a lot of other characters sprinkled throughout, such as Josh Hartnett's character and Michelle Williams, and I don't care for as much, sadly. They do give, or try to at least give, some depth to Josh Hartnett's character being Laurie Strode's son, and not really having much of a life, being basically told what to do, and he can't do this, and he has to be very sheltered for a lot of his life and everything, and he wants to kind of break loose. And that's touched upon, but not in the best way. It's touched upon very early on, and they don't really develop it as the story moves forward. In fact, this is a very quick film, which it's easy to watch, but there's not much in the way to digest with the film as a whole. And I found that the middle of the film very much lacks an oomph factor. There's not much in the way of excitement. A lot of the kills and stuff are things that we've seen before, and it's just overall kind of bland. Now, when I was going to rewatch this film, the one thing that I felt that I didn't love about this film was the screamification of the Halloween franchise. I felt that this movie before just paid too much attention to Scream, because it's coming out right after that film and its sequel came out, and I was, just always feeling like, oh, this is basically just Halloween Scream. And this time around, rewatching it, I actually don't think it's as close to Scream as I initially thought. Scream pokes fun at the tropes of the slasher genre and has a tongue-in-cheek kind of humor to it. And this film doesn't really have that all that much. So, kind of what I feel some people comparing this to Scream, it's a little unfounded. I don't think that there's a lot there to criticize or even say that it is like Scream at all. Even though we do know that Kevin Williamson did do some uncredited rewrites to this film, but I really feel like you can't see his hand or his influence too much in terms of like how he did the Scream movies. The climax, for the most part, is pretty solid too. It's pretty simple stuff. And the ending between Laurie and Michael Myers is really good. It's weirdly touching in this very strange way. There's that moment where their hands are reaching out towards each other before Laurie just cuts off his head. And it's a satisfying enough way to end the franchise, in my opinion. And that's the thing. This is basically meant to be a capper for the franchise. It isn't like the best thing ever. Sometimes I find the movie just a little too bland, especially once we get past the opening moments of the film, which have all the style. The rest of the film just lacks any style at all. It's just kind of bland scenery with pretty one-dimensional characters that are just very bland and very forgettable, aside for some standouts like LL Cool J or Josh Hartnett when he is particularly in the scenes with Jamie Lee Curtis. And Jamie Lee Curtis is just absolutely fantastic in the film. I just wish I liked this film more than I do, because I know a lot of people like this. A lot of people will say that this is the second best Halloween film. But I like it better than a lot of the Thorn trilogy, and I like it more than Halloween 2, which was a film that had as much that I loved about it as much as I just did not like about it. But I would still ultimately say Halloween 4 is an overall better sequel and better continuation of the franchise overall. That might be disappointing to hear for people that do love this. I have quite a few friends that really do love this movie, and I just think it's good. And, that's just my opinion, and, that's okay. So anyway, with all of that said, I'm going to give Halloween H2O 20 years later a 6 out of 10. It's a high 6 out of 10. It's not close to a 5 at all. It's very bland at times, but it does have some great moments in the very beginning, and Jamie Lee Curtis is really fantastic in the film. But that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you've had a happy Halloween. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And stay positive.